That's hard.
We
hard
are
for me.
back on the Get Foxy show this time with Mr. Udo Erasmus. Udo, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
You, sir, have an extensive education in biochemistry, biology. You've got a master's degree in counseling and psychology, and you've had a multitude of diverse jobs and professions throughout your life. I'm curious, what drove you to become an expert in holistic health and wellness?
Well, the long story is I was born during the Second World War, in the middle of it in Poland, and by the time it was pretty chaotic, and I was 2.5 years old when we were refugees fleeing from communist tanks and trucks, and down dirt roads on horse-drawn hay wagons, mothers with young children, and the Allies, the good guys, were using us as target practice, shooting at us from planes. And so it was pretty chaotic. By the time I was 6, I understood that war is not where I want to be. And I watched people argue, and I said, man, there has to be a way that people can live in harmony. And I'm going to find out how. You know, when you're 6-year-old, you don't know how complicated everything is. So you say, oh yeah, I'm going to find out how, right? And so that's one part of the story. So that's been my driver all my life. How can the quality of life be better? And there isn't a person on this planet whose quality of life could not be better. No matter what their quality of life is, it could still be better. And so I'm really interested in anything that goes in that direction. The health stuff I started when I got poisoned by pesticides. I sprayed them very carelessly for 3 years as a job after my marriage broke up, and I wanted to kill something, right? So I was very upset and very stupid. And the doctor, when I got poisoned, I went to the doctor and said, what do you have for pesticide poisoning? And she said, nothing. And that was the day it became really clear. I was never like a real junk food eater because we were fairly poor. So we ate really basic, lived on farms. And, but that day it was like, okay, my health is my responsibility. And so I took my background in the sciences because I've always wanted to know how everything works, and said, what do I need to do myself to deal with it? And so I looked at everything: health, nutrition, disease nutrition, food, water, air, light, because that's what we're made out of, and got stuck on fats because they were the most complicated area. They were the most misrepresented, most contradictory. And when I get contradictions, I always want to get to the bottom of it, because the contradiction says something else is going on here. And so that's how I got into the holistic health thing. And then from there, I went from fats to digestion. I think that's the second biggest issue, physical issue. And then I got into inspiration, because when people are not inspired, they won't make changes. So that's really important. So that's nutrient 1 now, is inspiration. Then I started talking about, well, what else affects health? And actually everything affects health. And so I started looking at it in terms of nature. So so basically awareness, life energy, inspiration, physical body, survival smarts, social group, environment, and big picture. Each one of those has a different nature, different function, needs a different kind of attention on a regular basis, goes off in a different way in response to a different kind of intervention. And I kind of think it's stupid that after 200,000 years of being here, we still don't have a teachable field of health based on nature and human nature. So that's sort of my big goal, a teachable field of health and a teachable field of human nature. Because
Wow.
if you don't know who you are, then you're living without foundation. And so that's so I'm anything, and fundamentally under the umbrella of health and human nature, I can address every problem on the planet. And that's what I've always wanted to do. And I'm kind of there now. So it's very nice.
Are you sure you're not a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner? because
No, it's one of the things I have looked very little into. I know a little bit about the five elements and but I've not really done a deep study. This just comes from my questions that I had of myself in the situations I was in and trying to get to the bottom of it. And I've done it mostly through kind of Western, Western methods. I think Chinese medicine has really good practices with really bad explanations sometimes to the Western mind. Same with Ayurveda, right? Very good practices and very bad explanations. And so I kind of went into it from science because I like the explanations. Although the methods are not better than Ayurvedic or Chinese, but the explanations I think are better. Maybe only because I'm steeped in atomic theory and quantum theory and not so much the gunas and those kind of things.
certainly. Well, the reason I made that comment is because as a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, we very much agree on those tenets of prevention, of
Yeah,
the importance of being healthy and well in our mind, our body, and our spirits. And
right,
it's all connected. And so
right.
to me, it's just like I go, oh man, it sounds like you're
Yeah,
talking Chinese medicine, which is
but,
really cool, just from
right.
a different angle.
Yeah, but here's the thing, that if you look at something, sooner or later you're going to come up with very similar explanations of what it is and how it works. If you really look without an agenda, if you really look to see what it is and how it works. And so it makes sense that people in China could do that, and people in India could do that, and people in British Columbia could do that, right? So, and people 100 miles north of Denver could do that, right?
Yes, indeed.
I mean, what is true is true, right?
Well, and I would guess that's kind of why you've been able to work with and teach alongside gurus like Deepak Chopra and Tony Robbins. Am I correct?
Well, yeah, they brought me in. Well, the Deepak Chopra one, I decided I wanted to talk about peace. They thought I was going to talk about health and fats, and I switched it on them, and I wanted to talk spontaneously from peace about peace. And so I sprung that on them. They liked it. They liked it. People told me it was the best thing at the conference. Tony Robbins brings me in for one of his courses about nutrition, and we talk about fats, and I sneak in other stuff too. I'm always sneaking other stuff.
And do you think Deepak and Tony have learned something from what you teach?
Oh, I know Tony has. Deepak just acknowledged that it was good, and he said stay in touch, but I didn't.
It is what it is.
Yeah,
I brought you on because you have a book called Total Sexy Health.
yeah,
Now that sounds pretty attractive to me.
yeah,
And
yeah. Well, it's pretty close to Foxy, isn't it?
yes, indeed. Well, and that's something that I should probably ask you
Mhm.
is this is the Get Foxy show, so I ask all my guests,
Yeah,
what is your
yeah.
definition of foxy?
Well, it's the same as my definition of sexy, because it's not about sexual positions. It's about being energized, being full on, being present, being alert and relaxed at the same time, being, being there. It's like being there. And the goal, in my view, male, female, the goal is to be fully present in all of our being and our surroundings, not lost in thoughts in our head. Because when we do that, each of those 8 parts uh, that were designed by nature confer some of our foxiness or our sexiness to us. And when we're aligned with all of them, then that's going to be our optimum foxy. And when we get out of line with one of those 8 parts, some of our Foxy goes with it. And when we come back in line, then we get the Foxy back. So that's the model for my model for health. Health is the natural state. Foxy is natural.
I dig it.
Foxy is natural. Huh?
I dig it. Foxy is natural.
Yeah. Foxy is natural when you're aligned with your nature and your surroundings.
You mentioned 8 parts.
Yeah.
Can you describe these 8 parts?
Yeah, very quickly. If you start from the center, you start with awareness. Awareness is the foundation. Awareness is your foundation, but it's also the foundation of the universe. And its central attribute is peace, contentment, calmness. And when you go to that place, and it requires bringing your awareness inside a little deeper than most people tend to go, because our senses always take us out into the world because we're always in interaction. This is not interaction. This is coming home. And when we go there, that's where our contentment lives. That's where our wholeness is. That's where our satisfaction is. That's where everything that we're looking for, deep down looking for, everything that we hope to get from all the things we do in the world, we actually already have. And it doesn't require us to do anything. It requires us except to bring the focus of awareness deeper inside, which means a stillness practice. Do nothing and just be present in the space your body occupies. So that's one, that's peace. And if you can't, and then when you get there, then you say, oh my God, peace is everywhere. Even wars take place in peace. But the warriors are not focused on the peace. They're focused on an idea in their head. You're my enemy, I'm going to kill you. And the other guy says, you're my enemy, I'm going to kill you. And then they play out this game in their that started in their head on a battlefield where peace is inside the warriors, around the warriors, between the warriors, above them and below them. So they have a war in peace and kill each other, or destroy each other's bodies. Let's put it that way. So that's the foundation. And if you are not able to, if you don't spend time getting to that foundation, you're actually living your life without foundation. And then nothing makes sense. Nothing is ordered. Nothing is orderly. The universe is very orderly. But when you don't have the foundation, you can't see the order. Because probably in part because you're too noisy in your head, trying to figure out where it is in all the places where it's not, right? Your access to it, to the peace that is everywhere, is in the core of your own being. There's not even a door that you have to open. The door is already open, but you have to bring awareness inside. Has to be deliberate, because we go away from ourselves automatically for survival through our senses monitoring change. But going back home to the quiet place has to be deliberate. And the key to it is feeling heartache, feeling trauma, feeling something, a feeling in your chest that's uncomfortable, that happens every time something disappoints you, something ends, you lose something. And that feeling is actually your heart calling your awareness to come back home inside to its source in life, in you, which is where it was when you were in your mother's womb, because there was nothing to do and nowhere to go. Everything was taken care of, was safe. And so you hung out. I call it the Buddha tank, because you were hanging out, floating in the light. And then that changed when you were born and you had to get to know the world. So that's the foundation. On top of that, life energy. Life energy is solar energy that goes into green leaves, excites electrons that then form bonds between atoms. The solar energy is stored in those bonds. Those become molecules. Those become our food molecules. We eat them, absorb them, break them down. That solar energy is released, and there's your life. And that life is what you are in your personal, in your individual nature. You are solar energy. You are life. that energy unconditionally loves your body 24/7 lifelong. Unconditioned. That is its nature. Just like the sun to shine is its nature, so life, its nature is to love. Wow, that's pretty cool. And when you're in touch with that, then giving becomes easy because it's natural, because it's and you become inspired. And inspiration is about helping, bringing something out of yourself and helping the world and helping to raise the quality of life for other people. So that's number 2. Number 3 is inspiration. That's just the shine of that unconditional love. Then number 4 is the body. And there we talk about food and fitness. You talk about rest, and you talk about digestion, and you talk about detox, and fresh, whole, raw, organic, mostly plant-based. That's the area that most people, when they talk about health, they just look at food and fitness, the physical stuff. But there's a lot of these other ones that I've talked about that affects the state of your health. So a lot of our illnesses have mental content, and the mental content creates physical symptoms. And then we treat the symptoms with more physical stuff, and we don't address the source of it. Because if we address the source of it in our mind or in our disconnection from ourselves, then a lot of the physical symptoms would resolve, unless they're just a physical origin. Then number 5 is survival smarts, and that's the protective aspect. That's the second part of mind. Inspiration is the first part of mind. So one is protective and one is creative. And that's about crisis preparedness. And then there's social group, and that's where most people try to find their belonging, although the most important belonging is belonging to life. So we're talking about doing a stillness practice and getting present in our own space, because that's where Foxy lives. It actually lives in the space inside. And then Foxy shows up in the world in a certain way, and other people see that and respond to that. But its origin is inside of us. So that's number 5, survival smarts. Number 6 is social group. Number 7 is natural environment. And basically what we do to it does to us. You can only poop in your nest for so long before you're nesting in your poop. That's my summary of all environmental issues. And if we want to fix the environment, we need to do less, not more. We need to do less. Because during the lockdown, we got a really good sample of what it's like when people do less. The air cleaned up over China, and over the cities. The air is cleaner now than I remember it ever being in my life. The water's cleaner. The flowers are brighter. The greens are greener. So you can actually see the sky and the stars better at night. So natural environment, and then the last one is the big picture, which is, I call it infinite awareness, but the acceptance of the fact that our body is a terminal condition in an infinite universe, and to be okay with that, and to be present. And then the goal is to be present in all of those 5 parts of our nature and our surroundings, and not lost in thoughts in our heads. And each one of these 8 areas, different nature, different function, different kind of attention, goes off in a different way and responds to a different kind of intervention. So that's the model. Whenever you get out of line in any one of those 8, you lose some of your foxiness. And whenever you get back in line with that part of nature or your nature, then you get that part of Foxy back. And when you're aligned in all 8, then you're going to be unbelievably Foxy.
Doggone. This is so fascinating to me, because again, as a Chinese medicine practitioner, you are so speaking my language.
Yeah.
In traditional Chinese medicine, we talk about various organ systems in the body
Right.
that are associated with specific emotions.
Right.
So, for example, the liver resonates
Liver,
anger,
anger.
irritation, and
Yeah.
frustration. And so when
Yeah.
somebody's very angry or irritated or frustrated, then we address the liver and what we can do with the
Right.
liver. And we also look at, okay, how can we change or reduce or help someone practice more calm, again, returning to that center
Yeah.
piece in order
Yeah.
to reduce that anger, irritation, frustration, which then takes away the load on their liver and they
Right.
change physically from what they're doing emotionally, spiritually. It's
Right.
big stuff.
Yeah. What's so interesting about looking at it that way is that the internal three parts, peace, unconditional love, and inspiration, are not affected by what's on the outside unless we bring it in through our mind. And the fact that we can step out of our thinking into a place that is just filled with contentment and love, no matter what kind of condition we have, that will be helpful to that condition. Because when we get stuck into in our condition, this is unconditional. This has always got conditions. When we get stuck in our conditions, sometimes we can't see our way out of them. But the truth is, even when we're super sick, something in us is completely healthy and completely unaffected by anything that's going on that we're sick about. It's like, wow, that's really, now it's nice to know that the two exist at the same time in the same place. And then we begin to have some choice about which one we cultivate. Is what you cultivate grows, right? Yeah.
And how do you cultivate your foxiness, Udo?
Just when I wake up in the morning, like this morning, I got up at 7. I had my first. No, I got up at 6. First thing I do, I joke about it. I want to check in to see if I'm still there, because if I'm not there anymore, there's no point getting up, right? So that's my joke. But I use it. I do a stillness practice, and literally, it's about being awake and doing nothing other than the breathing. That's, so I can follow my breathing if I want to, and bring my awareness into the space that my body occupies. And I'm not looking for my liver and my kidneys. I'm looking for the energetics of it, the life energy. You can literally, if you close your eyes in a dark room, the first thing that you'll get is you'll see darkness. There'll be nothing else but darkness. But in that darkness, if you go deep enough into that darkness, there's a light. And you can see that light, and you are that light, right? Oh, that's nice. In the silence of a completely silent room, you will hear a sound, but that's the sound of life in you. And you can hear it sometimes when you go up north in winter. You go out in the snow, and there's no sounds because the birds are all asleep, and it's at night, and there's no airplanes and no city noises. You actually go there and you hear a sound, and it sounds like that sound is everywhere, but it's actually the sound of your life that you can hear in silence. It's interesting. I remember listening to it as a kid. I didn't know what it was at that time. And then in your emptiness, there's an unconditional love that you can feel. And in the tastelessness of your own mouth, you can you can taste the sweetness if you pay attention to it, if you get quiet enough to notice. So I do that in the morning, and it really, I want to be present in my own space and feel that space, because that's my gift. That's the gift that each one of us has been given for ourselves to enjoy, because you can't enjoy that gift for me. And if I don't enjoy that gift for myself, then it's a wasted gift. Right? That's for all the people who say, oh, it's selfish to spend time with yourself. No, it's not. The people who tell you it's selfish to spend time with yourselves want you to spend your time doing something for their benefit, but not for your own benefit. And taking the time is probably the most neglected and most healing and most important thing of our time, really of all time. But we've been neglecting it for 200,000 years. That's why there's a lot of messes around on the planet, whether you're talking about environment or politics or relationships or health. You can't, there's a lot to gain in all of those areas from getting present in your own space.
This is definitely something that I preach to with my patients. We talk a lot about yin and yang and the balance of it. And yang is, you're giving. Yin is about taking that time to get still and receive.
Right.
And so I have so many women that come to my clinic and they're constantly giving, going, doing.
Yeah.
They don't get that time to take that breath. And
right.
they don't.
But that's true for the men too.
Yeah.
That's true for the men too. Because we're supposed to be human beings and we become human doings. But if you think about it, which is more important, being or doing? Well, being, because you can be without doing, but you can't do without being. Oh, okay. So there's the foundation again, right? I interrupted you.
Oh, we're all good. We're all good. So I'm curious, how can people find out more about your book and your product?
Okay, I have a website called Udo's Choice, udoschoice.com, and I talk about oils, digestive enzymes, probiotics, fiber. That's the area that I've worked in with physical products. I have another website called udoerasmus.com or the Udo, THEUDO.com. And on that, there's some educational material and some courses. And I'm on Instagram, and I have a YouTube channel and under Udo Erasmus, and I'm on Facebook, and I'm pretty active on social media, because I love that we have created a technology where important messages could go around the world very, very quickly. And I think we're in need of something like that. Just got to be good messages. We put some really stupid messages around the world too. but we have the chance, we could rebuild all the problems that we've created. We could transform those in a matter of months or years, few years, just because we're so connected through the technology. But the technology needs content. And it's like, I'm the content. I'm content. I'm not technology. I'm a ditz when it comes to technology. I recognize its usefulness, but the technology is a good tool. But what's missing is the content. And so I'm basically working on that content.
I will include links to your website and to your book so that listeners can find that. I've got another question for you, a sort of off topic, but not quite. And that's who's Foxy in your world right now?
I'll tell you, if you practice Foxy, you look around and you see Foxy everywhere. Because if someone is out of line with their nature, they might not feel Foxy. But if you're in line with your nature, you can still see that Foxy. And then you can also be active in helping bring it back. Because you can't teach Foxy if you can't do Foxy. It's like, in order to be a teacher, you need to, you can't give what you ain't got. And when you're out of touch with your own nature, then you can't teach people that part of human nature. And the masters were the foxiest people. I would say the foxiest people on the planet were the great masters, because they were teachers of human nature. They were fully present in their own nature. And that's why they could heal. And that's why they were fun to be around. And that's why they were attractive. And that's why people followed them. And, and then maybe churches misused it and turned it on its head. But that mastery that they had is actually present in every human being. It wasn't like one guy came and was special and everybody else was stupid. It's like the only stupid thing that we do is that we don't master what the masters mastered, because that's where the foxiest Foxy lives. That's but it has to be a personal experience. It's not like a book you read or some stuff you memorize. It has to be living experience. That's why awareness and focus are so important.
On the Get Foxy Show website, I jokingly, and yet not so jokingly, wrote "Namas Foxstay." The fox.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
You just summed that up so beautifully.
Namaste. Yeah.
Well, Udo, our time has come to an end, and oh my gosh, I am just so thrilled that I got the chance to speak with you. Thank you for what you are doing for the world, for the planet, and putting your content out there. God bless you, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Deeply blessed. Thank you for being the amplifier here. I mean, you're also a message, but you're an amplifier for me. Right?
Yes, indeed.
More people. I mean, honestly, 8 billion people could live lit up from within, because the light's already there. Just a matter of looking into it instead of looking away from it. When that happens, we'll feel so cared for that we won't steal each other's stuff. Then we can live in harmony. When we live in harmony, making sure that everybody's basic needs are met on a long-term sustainable basis is absolutely a small step. That's sort of my live into.
Amen to that.